welcome back to another edition of Tutorial Tuesday. It's your boy Greek Indian Hip Hop Beats, aka Dat Boy, and today we're going over how to create a bus. So the reason I want to go over how to create a mixer bus is that in the latest edition of Make a Beat Monday, I actually used it in my beat. It's not something I use all the time, but it is something that'll help take your mixing skills to the next level. Basically, a mixer bus is taking audio signals from channels in your mixer and then putting them into another channel in the mixer before it goes to the master. Because typically whenever you just play a sound, it'll usually go through the channel mixer and then it'll go to the master channel. And sometimes you don't always want to do that. So let's get into it. So in the most recent beat that I did, I created a bus so I could create an automation clip with the drums. So as you listen to the intro of this beat, you'll hear the drums volume slightly rise as it goes into the intro. Now the drums rise, and the reason I needed to create a bus for this is that the sample stayed the same volume, but all the drums rose with it. By the way, if you're not sure what an automation clip is or how to do it, go ahead and check the card up in the corner. I did a video over that as well. But the reason I chose to make a bus was that instead of creating an automation clip for each drum sound, I just threw them all into the same channel and then allowed them all to rise together. So the way I did that is I took channels 2, 3, and 4, which are the hats, the kicks, and the snare, and I sent them all to their own channel right here. As you can see, this green line goes to that extra channel, which I'll show you how to do that here in a second. And so as I play the beat, you'll see the automation clip with Now you can do more than just raise the volume. Maybe you want to put a certain reverb on all your drums. That's a good reason to use the mixer bus. Maybe there's a different effect or a different plugin that you want to put on multiple instruments. You don't have to do this just for the drums. You can do it for multiple other instruments as well. Maybe you want certain instruments to be higher in some parts of your beat. Maybe you want it to be lower in some parts of your beat. There's a million different ways to use the mixer bus. It's all relies kind of on your creativity and problem solving on how you want your beat to sound. So let's go ahead and open up a new project and we'll just go ahead and make a bus from scratch. So here's just a simple random drum loop that I've just made on the fly. You'll notice I have all the different instruments routed to their own channel. So the way you create a mixer bus is you start with the channel that you want to create the bus on. So we already got 2, 3, and 4 lined up for the drums. So let's go ahead and make one on 5. And so right now I have channel 2 selected. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to channel 5 and go all the way down to this arrow right here. I'm going to right click and it's going to give me 4 options. Route to this track only, side chain to this track, and side chain to this track only. Those are the 4 things you can do to kind of reroute your mixer channels. To create a bus, what we want to do is route to this track only. If I only go to route to this track, it'll also route to the master and to channel 5. We want it just to go to channel 5 before it goes to the master. So I'm just going to hit route to this track. And now it's routed. Be very careful doing this routing. Like, you need to make sure that you need it before you do it, because unlike most things you can do in FL Studio, you can't just hit the undo button on this. And once your routing with your mixer channel gets all out of whack, it's hard to get it back the way it was. So that was the hi-hat. Here is the snare on channel 3. Same thing. I'm going to go to channel 5, go all the way down, right click on channel 5, route to this track only. And then same thing with the kick drum here on channel 4. Go to channel 5, right click, route to this track only. Now when I play, you'll see each of the 3 instruments play individually here in the mixer channel, but then you'll also have them all playing together here in channel 5. And so what you can do here in channel 5 is you can use all the empty slots here to create whatever effects or plugins, or again, kind of like I did, creating an automation clip for just the drums themselves. One of the other commonly used things for creating a bus is parallel processing. I think I've talked about parallel processing in the past, but something that doesn't come up a lot. Typically with a lot of drum sounds that come out of drum kits nowadays, they've already been EQ'd the best they possibly can, so you don't need to put a lot of compression on them. However, if you are using drums from like old samples back in like the 60s, 70s, and 80s, sometimes they just need a little more pop to them, and so they just need to put a little compression on them to help, get them to stand out in the track a little bit more. And so let's say we wanted the snare to pop a little bit more. We're going to take the snare, we're going to route it to a different channel. We'll say 8. We're going to route to this track only. So now when you route to this track only, it cuts off routing from any anywhere else. Only the snare is only going to channel 8. Channel 3 is going to channel 8, and that's it. And then what makes it parallel processing is that we're going to also create a signal to go to channel 9 as well. And so on this time, instead of doing route to this track only, we're going to do route to this track. Now channel 3 is only routed to channels 8 and 9. And then what I'm going to do on channel 8, I'm going to bring it all back to the same channel. So I'm going to select channel 8 where the first signal's going. I'm going to go to channel 10, a whole new mixer channel, and go to route to this track only. I'm going to go to channel 9 and also go to channel 10, route to this track only. And so now I have 8 and 9 only going to 10. So 3 is only going to 8 and 9, and then 8 and 9 are only going to 10. And then 10 is going back into the master. What you need to do on 8 and 9 is add a limiter. And so with the limiter on channel 8, not touching it. You need to leave it there. If you don't have the limiter on both channels when parallel processing, it'll create latency issues. So even though you're opening up a limiter on the first channel and not doing anything to it, it still holds a purpose. So make sure to have that there. On the second one, channel 9, which is the second version of the signal, I'm going to go into the limiter. I'm going to go to compression, and we're going to squash the hell out of this. What I'm going to do is hit play. I'm going to bring this threshold down to where I see it kind of curve and go flat. And with the ratio, I mean, you can always adjust this later, but I'm going to squash the heck out of it and put it down to like 20. Balance these so that they're peaking at the same level. And then in channel 10, where we rerouted everything, you can use that to adjust the volume. If you're ever, again, dealing with, some sort of snare that's maybe a little bit older, maybe not popping the way you want it to, even though you like the sound, this would be a way to help compress it in a way that gets it to pop better without taking any life out of the drum itself. All right, y'all, that's pretty much it for mixer buses. We went over what a mixer bus is, why people use it, and then some different ways you can utilize it in your beats. I typically only use it for creating automation clips or for parallel processing, but I know other producers out there use it in a variety of different ways. Maybe you might come up with another way as well. It's a really good problem-solving technique when you are mixing. It just helps give you more control over all the different sounds that you're putting together in your composition. Hopefully this helped. Hopefully your beat stays slapping. And until next time, y'all, if you got any questions for anything else you want to see in these tutorial videos, just let me know. And have a good one, y'all.